Nutrition.
Ooh.
The Dolce Diet is considered by many to be one of the best programs for cutting weight while staying healthy.
And he has helped the UFC's best make those serious cuts. And now Mike Dolce joining us to share some of his secrets. Mike, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Happy to be here.
We are more than humiliated that you walked down our Fox 5 hallway. And I know you saw the remnants of destroyed sub sandwiches and chips. And you're just judging us all at this moment, aren't you?
There's no judging here. I'm just disappointed. That's all.
Oh, no, that's even
all. I'm not
worse.
mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh.
No, you know what though? I always wonder is when you go out to dinner with friends and family, do you notice they're nervous to order around you?
Absolutely. When I walk into a party or a room, people drop their plates. You hear the plates and the cups hit the ground, and I hear all the stories about how tough their weekend was or how busy were they. They skipped lunch.
Sure they did.
I'm just disappointed.
You see, I brought a cooler and I didn't eat the sandwiches. I didn't do it for me, really. I did it because I knew Mike was coming.
You never knew what time he was going to walk in the room and catch you mid-action.
I had to look ready, exactly.
Exactly. I'm really fascinated by watching these fighters make the weight, also how they rehydrate and get their energy and their strength back up.
Yes.
I mean, certainly the furthest thing from an athlete, and as a woman, I have a hard time dropping 5 pounds. I can't even imagine this being part of your job and then part of your job to perform at your best physical level after going through this. I mean, what are the basics that maybe those of us not in the sport, just fans, can take away into our own lives?
The most important thing is, number one, earth-grown nutrients. That's eating real food. If you're eating real foods, you don't have to worry about all the rest. It's everything else is just noise. Number two is eat every 2 to 4 hours based on what you just did or what you're about to do. Number three is we eat until we're satisfied, not until we're full, knowing we're just going to eat again in 2 to 4 hours. So you don't have to gorge yourself. Your food's not going anywhere. It'll still be available. That way we start to stimulate the metabolism and we can guide our energy throughout the day. So we're never overeating, but we always have the fuel we need to repair, rebuild, and be better.
So you don't go to a lot of buffets?
Yeah.
Do you eat fast food?
Fast food would be an apple and a handful of almonds.
That'll boy.
What's faster than that, right?
Okay. Oh boy.
I kind of want to switch gears and take it back to the GSP steroid comments because you have some firsthand experience with this. You were in Johnny Hendricks' camp when George proposed that they both did outside testing. George wanted to use a company that scheduled testing and didn't test for growth hormone. Johnny wasn't too familiar with the relationship between that company and George St. Pierre. He wanted to use the company the Olympics use, the company the Nevada State Athletic Commission endorses. This company does surprise testing where you don't know when it's coming, you don't know who's doing it, they just show up, and they also test for growth hormone. When the going back and forth was going on, George's lawyer showed up and he was objecting to this. And he was objecting to the fact that they were scheduling tests, and he was objecting to the fact that they were testing for growth hormone. Do you see that as almost an admission of guilt on their part that maybe he is using something or was using growth hormone?
I wouldn't call it an admission of guilt. George's attorney was doing his due diligence. He was doing his job, sourcing the material. But I know from Hendrick's side, we wanted everything to be tested for. We didn't care the type of testing. The only objection Johnny and his team had was which agency would be conducting the testing, and they felt it was a conflict of interest to have an agency that George was connected with in a professional level and a sponsorship level to be running the tests in which the world title was going to be decided. So he wanted a third-party company, one of which that was recommended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. They were a WADA-approved lab. They were going to be doing the blood testing. It seemed to make sense, and I didn't get too deep into that situation. We just focused on the work at hand, and I think Johnny won that fight, by the way.
A lot of people do.
Absolutely,
the work at hand, most recently, we were called into Ronda Rousey's camp pretty late in the game, right?
Yes.
An athlete of her caliber, I mean, she seemed like everything was going so well for her going in. I don't doubt there were problems or was any problem, but what does it mean, like saying, okay, now I want you in? Is it the energy? Is it the strength? What was it that she needed to address with you?
She contacted me because she had just filmed 2 movies, 2 major movies, and she was traveling the world doing that, also preparing for the UFC world title fight, a title defense against her arch rival, her nemesis.
Right.
And 4 weeks before the fight, she wasn't recovering. She felt sick. She had a really nasty gash on her hand from overtraining that wasn't healing, was getting worse. Her weight wasn't lowering, although her calories were. She had no energy, and she called me in to consult, and I think the changes that we made were spectacular. She came out afterwards and said that it was a dramatic difference in the fight where she was just healthy. I help athletes, I help people be healthy, and with Ronda I was able to step in. I could say that we increased her calories by 500%, but I think it was even more than that.
Really?
I mean, she was eating 1 meal a day, and snacking on some berries and coffee. training at a world-class level. So we got her back up to eating, again, earth-grown nutrients every 2 to 4 hours until she was satisfied, not until she was full. I mean, that's what she did, and her energy and performance just skyrocketed.
Well,
and that cut healed
worked
immediately.
Really?
And she has a photo dialogue of that.
Wow.
Oh, that's
it's pretty
interesting.
crazy.
And clearly, for the first time going past a first round,
Yeah.
she needed that energy, she needed the endurance and the strength, so it all came together.
With a third round finish, she was clearly in better shape than Nisha, who's in great shape also, and it answered a lot of questions. Ronda can go 5 rounds if she has to.
Well, speaking of Ronda, that's your next athlete competing,
Yes.
February 22nd,
Yes.
UFC 170 here in Las Vegas, taking on an Olympian who achieved more in her sport than Ronda did.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey, of course, the bronze medalist, taking on Sarah McMahon, a silver medalist in the sport of wrestling. Give us your thoughts on that fight.
I think it's a great fight. I love seeing such high caliber athletes competing at a world-class level. This is truly a world title fight. With that said, Sarah's strength could also get her in a lot of trouble with a fighter like Ronda Rousey, who has shown her ability to finish on the ground. All of her wins are by submission on the ground. Sarah's skill is to take you down to the ground, so now what happens? She falls right in the many traps that Ronda has. I don't think Sarah's going to try and keep it on the feet because Ronda's striking is considerably advanced as compared to Sarah's. Compared to other opponents, maybe she's not as advanced, where the judo and the grappling would be much stronger. So I think it's an interesting fight. Ronda has more ways to win.
How different is it working with the female athletes to make weight and to navigate diet?
It's almost identical except for the planning within the month. There's a few days within the month that a female's body might change just a little bit, emotions might change, and also her weight will fluctuate. So we make sure we make the appropriate calculations and adjustments to the weeks beforehand to mediate those type of damages. That could result if it's a fight week or a performance.
What are some other fighters you got going right now that you feel like up-and-coming stars the world's about to see?
Well, on the same card, so it's Ronda, the main event. Daniel Cormier, I'm working with to drop him to 205.
You are?
As the co-main event
Awesome.
versus Rashad Evans. Mike Piles on that card, which is, he's a superstar. Then March 15th, Johnny Hendricks for the world title. Kelvin Gastelum also is fighting Ricky Story, and just a battle of welterweight up-and-comers. Luke Barnett over in the UK is now undefeated. You saw what he did in his last fight over there. Those are the up-and-comers. But Gilbert Melendez, you can call him an up-and-comer right now because he's 1 fight in, 2 fights into the UFC. He has had a fight of the year performance, and I think he's ready to jump right in. He also owns 2 wins over Josh Thompson, and they were very clear wins. I think Josh won that fight tonight.
So clearly business is going well for you.
We're busy. We're busy.
We don't need to start handing out flyers on your behalf, that's for sure.
I'm not putting out resumes.
And the book is out there for folks at home who are interested in learning more about the programs that you're recommending. And so much of it common sense, but when it comes to food, I mean, food is an emotional thing. And we have breaking our habits is very difficult when it comes to diet.
That's right.
So we can access more of your plans, get the book.
The books are the Dolce Diet. There's also UFC FIT, UFCFit.com. I mean, if you're looking to get in shape and be healthy and truly live the lifestyle, a sustainable lifestyle, not just a short-term, a quick fix, that's what I do. That's the information that we're trying to put out there.
That's this guy right here.
That's this guy.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because last year you did film what's called UFC FIT, and it's almost the UFC's answer to P90X.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience and what the program can do for you.
Amazing experience, to go through the year plus of the development, the process, and the planning that goes behind it. But what got me most is the desire and dedication behind the UFC to truly put a product out there that is legitimate. They make enough money. They are happy to help the person that is 20, 40, 60 pounds overweight, that needs that spark to change their life. And they hand chose me because they see what I do with the athletes. They say, hey, Dolce knows what he's doing. Let's get him in here and see if he can build it. And that's what we did. So we built a 12-week program, a complete lifestyle overhaul with the nutrition manual. I mean, you just follow it, and the results are astounding.
Yeah.
The results are so good, our attorney said that you can't post these results without disclaimers saying that these are not typical. And we said, but everybody's having the same results. And so the disclaimer's on there, which is cool. But that's how excited I am about it.
Okay.
Wow.
All right, I'm sold.
I'm
sold.
excited.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So nice to talk
My
to you.
pleasure.
And he's certainly got the energy, right?
Oh, yeah, man.
If that's
It's
the
the
result
diet.
of
It's
the
the earth-grown
natural,
nutrients,
healthy
right? Yeah,
diet.
that's right.
I'm throwing my chips and soda out permanently. The UFC returns to Las Vegas in just under a month.